Shalom and welcome to a message for the Parsha for Parshat Vayelech. This week, besides being called Vayelech, this Shabbat has a more famous name. It's not only otherwise known by the following name, rather it is known as Shabbat Shuva. Okay, notice the word Shuva, not Teshuvah, which you're most probably more accustomed to hearing, but Shabbat Shuva. Why is it called Shabbat Shuva? Because on this Shabbat, we read a very special Haftorah, meaning the Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which, by the way, there's always a Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, because there's always 7 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so at some point, there has to be a Shabbat. We read a special Haftorah after we read the Parsha, regardless of what the Parsha is, whether it's Vayelech or the next one, depending on the year. We read a Haftorah which begins with the words, Shuva Yisrael, return, O Israel, ad Hashem Elokecha, till Hashem your God. The Hasidic teachings explain, what does this mean, return to Hashem your God? Return to Hashem. The answer is, and we'll get a little Kabbalistic now for a moment, the two names Hashem, which is Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, pronounce Adonai, and Elokecha, these represent two aspects, two different types of emanations of godliness, so to speak, as God interacts with the world. The first one represents the, so to speak, aspect of godliness, which is beyond any whatsoever interaction into the world as we know it, into the physical material world. Although it did trigger the initial catalyst for the creation, but it's beyond. That's, so to speak, where miracles come from. That's the supernatural. That is something that is, so to speak, godliness and the realm, which is absolutely beyond any limitation. It is the total infinite. Okay, it transcends any restrictions, any a finite measure of time and space. Versus Elokecha, Elokim, that represents godliness as he confined it, as he contracted it and limited it to functioning within what we call nature, within the realm of our world as we know it. In fact, open up the book of Genesis, open up the very first Parsha, where it describes the 6 days of creation, and you don't see the name of Hashem, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Rather, you only see continuously over and over again, it says, Vayomer Elokim, and Elokim said, because Elokim is connected to the actual physical world. Elokim is godliness as it conforms itself, contracts itself, and fits in, so to speak, with the going-ons of the day of the finite, limited world, something that is restricted by time and space. And this is the message. How does a Jew come to, God forbid, go against his will, to make the mistake, to slip, and do things that are not consistent with what Hashem wants us to do? That comes from the world being what it is. A place in which you do not see godliness. You don't feel godliness. Godliness is not tangible, almost not at all. You have to seek it. You have to look for it. It's a constant challenge. The constant temptations that are throwing themselves at us, the world as we know it, the material, physical world, that we have a, so to speak, predisposed appreciation of. The spiritual things that we try to acquire, as much as we're excited, but we have to develop an appreciation for, an excitement for, and a true, want and a true involvement with it. Thus, what this message is telling us is Shuva Yisrael, return Israel. Return to the point that Hashem, that name of Hashem, which seems to be beyond reach, which seems to be beyond any interaction with this physical material world, Ad Hashem Elokecha, until Hashem becomes your God, until the Adonai becomes your Elokecha, becomes your reality. In other words, connect to godliness so much that even your regular day-to-day, that which is, quote, controlled by nature, becomes something in which you constantly see God, which is beyond nature. A very special thing that many people have accustomed to do, especially in Chabad, is called a tshuva licht, literally a tshuva candle. And many people light, right before Shabbat, light a candle, like the memorial candles that burn for 24 hours, that it should burn throughout Shabbat. Now, honestly, I never did the research, and I don't know for sure what the exact meaning behind it is. But certainly, I want to share my inspiration of it, and I think the message that it's telling me is, all you need to do, when we speak about Shuvah, it's so grandiose, it's so big, it seems so unattainable that perhaps we give up before we even start. And I think the message is, just light your spark. Just light the fire. Light a little candle, a little flame. That will become your whole tshuva lich. That will become your candle. But that's a beginning. That's a return. So I encourage you, as I encourage myself, light a candle, light a spark, even a little bit. With that, remember, one candle can turn into an inferno. One little candle can start a fire that can go and burn down a city. That's in the negative, but in the positive, that can light up a whole entire region. Correct? Because one little tiny candle can light up a big torch. One tiny candle can light up a bonfire. Take that candle, light it this Shabbat. Enthuse yourself. Get excited about something connected to Hashem Elokecha. And guaranteed, throughout the year, that will keep your flame burning.